Hey BookTube, this is Kelly. Thank you so much for watching my channel, Books I'm Not Reading. If you're wondering why I'm wearing a sweater at almost the end of May, it's because it is rainy and misty, and it's supposed to be like that all weekend long. Some places in our state are supposed to get golf ball size hail. Fortunately, that's not in our forecast. I hope that doesn't happen because golf ball size hail is nothing to mess around with. But I had to show you guys, my parents gave this to me when I saw them earlier this month. And so I'm like, ooh, we should get Jason to put this someplace where we can easily see how much rain we've gotten. So here's our little rain gauge. Actually, it's not little, but yeah, so and normally we don't, I mean, like rain, that's not really where we get most of our moisture. But anyway, so I guess if it's rainy and cold all weekend, I'll just have to read instead. I was planning on doing some yard work, but I just don't know. I don't know if we're gonna get to that. So, okay, if you have been following me on Instagram, and if you're not, you can see down below my new Instagram account that's still in its infancy. But I showed, earlier today, I showed a picture of this. This is a book about the animated film Wolfwalkers. This is about the art that the movie was created from, and Jason got this for me. We watched Wolfwalkers I think last weekend, and I think it was on like Apple TV Plus. So anyway, definitely look and see if there's a streaming service that you can check it out. It's just an incredible Irish tale. Like I felt at times like I had wandered into a fairy tale. Oh, I love this picture. Oh my god, look at that. Isn't that so beautiful? I felt like, yeah, it and there were also pages. I understand that since then the movie has been made into a graphic novel, which makes a lot of sense because a lot of the times there are different like panes of animation in the film. Here's the back of the book. That's beautiful too. Anyway, it's an incredible movie, and I was surprised that Jason got this for me. It came on a really good day because I was actually sick earlier this week. I'm fine now, no worries. But anyway, so it's just got the art, and I almost feel like you could use this to learn like how to draw some of the characters the way they did. Like, yeah, it's just look at this. It's just really amazing. So anyway, if you have not seen Wolfwalkers, definitely look for it. And like I said, I posted a bunch of pictures from that book on my Instagram account this morning. So looking forward to your feedback there as well. Okay, so you guys, I finished a couple books this week. It's a miracle, right? So I'm going to talk to you first of all about Brideshead Revisited. Now, some of you said that I could use this as a Maybe Midrash book, which I thought was interesting because to me it feels like the undercurrent theme that would reference being part of Maybe Midrash is, to me, it's more about the church, capital T, capital C. Like the theme there is more about like what does it mean to be a Catholic? It's not really so much about faith or like people consider themselves Catholic and so therefore they can't get divorced, or therefore like they want someone to have their last rites, or that kind of stuff. Like so So more of the kind of structure, I guess, if you will, of the church. It's definitely not what the whole book is about. Now, I know some of you out there absolutely love Brideshead Revisited, and I'm here to tell you, like, even though I didn't love it, I am definitely going to read it again, because now that I sort of know where the story goes, because I read this without seeing the miniseries or the movie, yeah, now that I know where the story is headed, I feel like it'll be easier for me to pick up on some of those themes. I watched Steve Donahue and Matthew from Mayberry Book Club. They did a read-along of this last month, and so I watched all of their videos, and I also read the comments section for those videos, which was quite fascinating. Yeah, I mean, one person was like, this book is about, that Evelyn Waugh was a devout Catholic. This book is about divine mercy. And I'm like, whoa. Like, if this book is about divine mercy, then I really missed something there, because I did not see that as a major theme of the book. And I'm not saying that I'm right and somebody else is wrong, like, at all, like, but that does make me, like, I already knew before I finished the book, like, I need to read it again, like, and like I said, once I know where the story is headed, I think it's going to make it easier for me to understand why some of you love it so much. I know there were some, like, comedic kind of moments, but I mainly found them sad. I guess I like more sad, like the relationship between the main character, Charles Ryder, and his father. I know it's meant to provide some sort of comic relief, but I actually found it quite depressing that was his relationship with his father. I thought that was sad. And anyway, so I didn't read this for Maybe Midrash, but I did read it, and I'm really glad that I did. As I have said before, I mean, this is maybe the number one book that has been recommended to me on BookTube to read, and so I'm so glad I did. And I would love to hear, like, other Evelyn Waugh books that I should read. I know some people have talked about him being their favorite writer, and so yeah, I would love some recommendations of other books of his to check out. I know I'm pretty sure this is what he's most famous for, but yeah, so Brideshead Revisited will be revisited. I do have to say, I found the prose amazing. It was so smooth. I mean, I think there's a turning point in the book, which Steve and Matthew both talk about, where the tone really changes. And in that little turning moment, it was hard for me to, like, pick the book back up. But then once I did, I just kind of slid in and let Evelyn Waugh just take me along. So I did really respect the prose of the book, but yeah, I wonder if a different edition, my edition, doesn't have any footnotes or anything like that, and so I'm sure there's a lot of things that either British people or British people at the time that this was published would get, and it's just beyond me. But I have to say, like, seeing a comment where someone is saying that this book is about divine mercy, that was really quite surprising. So anyway, so I'm glad we've got that taken care of. Now, my Maybe Midrash books, I haven't finished them yet. I will finish my novel. I should be able to finish it this weekend. This is Godric by Frederick Buechner. And Buechner, this was actually a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize, which I find really fascinating because this is very, very, very different from any other Pulitzer Prize winner I can think of. So just the idea that it was a finalist is like, wow, it's really out there. It is about a saint. I think he lived in, my understanding he was a real person, born in 1605 in England. And I don't know how much, there's an author's note at the back. I don't know how much is known about the real Godric. He kind of has like two lives, and the chapters sort of alternate back and forth in between. He's kind of a pirate, a scam artist, runs around with a lot of women, and some colorful language for body parts in this book so far. Like I said, I'm not done. I've got I think less than 75 or 70 pages to go. So it is just not like anything I've ever read. I'm really curious to get to that author's note to find out, if there's just very, very little known about Godric. And so Buechner felt like he had lots of room to sort of flesh out this person's life. And I also love, just kind of the, some of the like mystical things that happen in this. So I'm really enjoying this. I think it's probably going to be a 4-star book, but I'm not quite done. So I'll let you know. I really feel like I should be able to finish it, if not today, tomorrow. The other book that I read was Henri Nouwen's Life of the Beloved. The subtitle for this book is called Spiritual Living in a Secular World. Now, I love Henri Nouwen. He was a Jesuit priest, I believe, and he taught at Yale, Harvard, Notre Dame, these big kind of, very impressive schools. He taught in their divinity, their divinity schools, and then he went to Canada, in Toronto, and worked with people who had mental disabilities. And the contrast between those two worlds and how he viewed himself in those two different worlds, it is fascinating to read. His books always feel, even though they're nonfiction, I know not everyone believes, but the contrast between them is between those two worlds is really striking. Now, my favorite Henri Nouwen book, I want to say it's the one about the prodigal son, and I've shown it on my channel before. I absolutely love that book, but this is a 5-star read for me. This is really what I needed in this moment, I guess I would say. So first of all, I consider myself to be a follower of Jesus. I'm not a huge fan of the term Christian. There's nothing wrong. I mean, for other people, like I don't, whatever. I struggle so much with the church, and I don't know, kind of the structure of it, and the, if you go to a Presbyterian church in one place and then you go to a Presbyterian church someplace else, just because they're both Presbyterian, it doesn't mean you're going to have the same experience there. Does that make sense? Laundry, yay! So this book was written because he had Henri Nouwen met this man and became friends with him, who was essentially a secular Jew. So he was Jewish, but like he didn't go to synagogue. He didn't practice faith in his life. And he finally says to Henri Nouwen, "Hey, why don't you write a book for me and my friends? We need to understand, again, how are we supposed to have a spiritual life in this secular world? We're not cloistered off somewhere. We're not rabbis. How do just everyday regular people go through life and find some kind of spiritual connection?" So I feel like, and Henri Nouwen was very careful in the book I mean, there are references to Jesus and characters in the Old Testament, but I think really anyone who comes from maybe like a monotheist background, is that the right word? I think could benefit from this. I also would say someone who's an agnostic or maybe a seeker, this might be a really, really good book for you. It did move me to tears. An event in the book that Nouwen talks to us about, and it just really, really moved me. I hope I can get through this. So this is when he's, Henri Nouwen is working at the community with, for people with mental disabilities. And he talks about their lives, like, and the frustration that some of them feel like they can't work, they can't get married, they can't, you know, all the ways that most of us feel like we're contributing to something in the world, like they are not able to do some of those things. I mean, some people literally, like, they can't feed themselves, they can't dress themselves, they can't walk without assistance, all those things. So it's just a very, very different life. One of the people there, her name is, I think is it Janet? So Janet, a handicapped member of our community, said to me, "Henri, can you give me a blessing?" I responded in a somewhat automatic way by tracing my thumb with the sign of the cross on her forehead. Instead of being grateful, however, she protested, "No, that doesn't work. I want a real blessing." I suddenly became aware of the ritualistic quality of my response to her request and said, "Oh, I am sorry. Let me give you a real blessing," when we were all together for the prayer service. After the service, there's about 30 people sitting in a circle on the floor. And I said, "Janet has asked for a special blessing. She feels that she needs that now." She stood up and walked toward me. I was wearing a long white robe with ample sleeves covering my hands as well as my arms. Spontaneously, Janet put her arms around me and put her head against my chest. Without thinking, I covered her with my sleeves so that she almost vanished in the folds of my robe. As we held each other, I said, "Janet, I want you to know that you are God's beloved daughter. You are precious in God's eyes. Your beautiful smile, your kindness to the people in your house, and all of the good things you do show us what a beautiful human being you are. I know you feel a little low these days and that there is some sadness in your heart, but I want you to remember who you are, a very special person, deeply loved by God and all the people who are here with you." As I said these words, Janet raised her head and looked at me. Her broad smile showed that she had really heard and received the blessing. When she returned to her place, Jane, another handicapped woman, raised her hand and said, "I want a blessing too." She stood up and before I knew it had put her face against my chest. And it keeps happening. And then towards the end of the prayer service, one of the employees there, he's an assistant, a 24-year-old student, raised his hand and said, "And what about me?" "Sure," I said, "come." He came, and we stood before each other. I put my arms around him and said, "John, it is so good you are here. You are God's beloved son. Your presence is a joy for all of us. When things are hard and life is burdensome, always remember that you are loved with an everlasting love." As I spoke these words, he looked at me with tears in his eyes, and then he said, thank you very much. And I love that. I do think, like, I personally know that I really, really need to hear validation sometimes. And I'm so fortunate that many of you bless me with your comments and your contributions to discussions, and it may not be your intention that you're leaving a comment as a blessing for me, but that's how it turns out. So yeah, again, I would just really I'm not sure if you're an atheist, if you would appreciate this book, but I think a lot of people out there who are maybe haven't gone to church for a really long time. I haven't. I mean, I've attended Zoom services, but definitely I've not been to church every week. My pastor told me, she said, God isn't keeping attendance records, Kelly. So that made me feel a little bit better. But yeah, I think at this moment in my life, this was really what I needed, which is ironic because this is one of the oldest books on my TBR, which is why I wanted to read it this year. So anyway, highly recommend it, this book, Life of the Beloved. And actually, I would pretty much recommend anything by Henri Nouwen. So this weekend, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to read. I'm just going to focus on finishing Godric first and also see what happens with the weather. My Be Kind to Kelly week is coming up starting on Tuesday. It will have a slight intermission because I'm going to go see my family over the weekend, which will be great. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to just trying to take care of myself next week. And this book helped remind me that I do need to take care of myself. So booktube, I really want to hear from you in the comment section. Those of you who love Brideshead Revisited, please don't give up on me. If you've seen Wolfwalkers, if you've participated in Maybe Midrash, anything like that, please let me know down in the comment section what's going on with you, what you're going to be reading this weekend, so what the weather is like even. All right, booktube, remember to be kind to yourself and be kind to others, and I will talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.